Shuffle Your Cards by ablublub0811. Read by Karika. Summary. There were 3 concepts of a human being in the tower. Poder. You were the epitome of power and grace, the destruction and all of its divinity. The world was in your hands, and your judgment with its inborn prophecy would seal its future. From the night you were resurrected to the day you would bring salvation, power was your purpose. Power was your life. Power was your definition. Even as a weakling, power had been your future. You didn't want this power. Its delicious hunger and unstable stability. There was fear with every skin touched and every eye met, the crackle and crack of both lightning and heart. And fear became longing in all of its broken pieces, the sum of your parts. This is the reason you are alive, it said, wrapping a blindfold around you, and onward you went to your guillotine. The price of power was death with its sweetest sorrows. It's the siren's call for relief, and you were an irregular in every way, fearing for it instead. Your fingers trembled preciously, the tingle of anxiety prickling your skin as dabs of new fingertips steadily crawled across your wrist. Pressing, gently, circling, slowly, gripping down. Careful, he said, unlocking something there, releasing something that didn't deserve to be anything. You'll trip and lose yourself. Prophecies and glory were for the powerful. But weak as you were, a man was a man through and through. Amour. Have you ever heard of Romeo and Juliet? The stupid act of love they did for each other? No, you couldn't know. You didn't have time for that, too preoccupied with something greater than love. Which was ironic on all of its sides, because all of this happened because of love. A monster didn't deserve to be loved. You had firmly believed in this like the commandments on the stone tablet, a divine law, a doctrine that must never be broken, a forbidden spell that was untouched. There was no time for love, you thought, as you braced through each wall of prison, each ceiling of floors, and you were terrified of breaking the roof, the foundation, for if you did, the very structure of your life would crumble. Even if you had seared your name into history, it would be associated with fear. The very human that was incapable of loving, and that was haunting. But there was a narrative. A monster was loved. This was a storyline that children and girls were obsessed with. It's the kind of cliché that the masses would never get tired of. But the thing was, you were tired. You had been walking on land, swimming in the waters, flying through the air, trying and achieving some semblance of self-fulfillment. Every spread of your angel-like wings was the weight of gravity, the burden of rights and responsibilities, dragging you down and down and down to earth. But there was a faint memory of being caught, arms wrapping around you, of your name being called, the voice beckoning home. There was a big difference between you and Icarus. When you fell, you were caught. Felicidad. It was a wound that you never knew until it's there. Something that you weren't aware of until it was gone. And the tragedy in all of this was, you only realized when you didn't have any more. It was the greed speaking, you deluded. Again with its never-ending hunger and bottomless need for satisfaction. One man found his happiness and basked in it. He would learn to yearn for more. Like knowledge, like power, like love, like you. You had to breathe, take a step back, and you had to realize that all of the happiness bestowed on you was borrowed in the context of becoming a human being. For the dead would never come back, and resurrected you were. You were lost on the blurring edges of humanity and divinity. Too far gone into the trenches of sea and glory, too far gone to remember the yellow scenery and its serenity. You wondered as you climbed that you were drowning, descending into the depths of oceans instead of ascending to the skies of stars. Happiness and stars. There had been a fine line connecting them like constellations, yet it was hard to tell, not when you were starting to get lost in the sea. No lighthouse in sight. Careful, he said again, his voice a bit different, stuck between morphing, indecisive, fingers gripping you tight. He hushed words you couldn't decipher, along the words of power and grace, monster and love, happiness and you. Riqueza. There were 52 cards in a deck, 52 floors conquered at the dawn of war, divided into 4 suites: clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. Power, love, happiness, and wealth. There was a force to be reckoned with by letting yourself be held onto the cartistry of shuffling, moving. The cards flying up in the air like a show-off magic to the masses and falling back into the slender hands. Control, he would say. Control, he was obsessed with. Control, he was behind the scenes. Tricks and schemes with every brush of his fingers on your skin, carefully taking you apart with a grin of bliss on both of your lips. He did it so seamlessly, shuffling you around and around until he got what he wanted. And you.